Hello, I'm Lieutenant Commander Kate Cunningham, and today I'm going to talk about the slating process from your 2nd Division Officer Tour to your Post-Division Officer Shore Tour. I'll cover the following topics: shore slate timing, shore billet options, talent management, to Divo to shore slating process, best practices, and special circumstances. Typically, you will slate for your Post-Division Officer Shore Tour 6 to 9 months prior to your projected rotation date. To determine exactly which month your slate will be, visit the My Navy HR PERS 412 page and select the See Shore Slate calendar. 2nd Division Officer Tours are currently averaging 22 months in length, but we're on track to get back to the intended 18 months by fiscal year 2024. In order to slate for shore duty, you must have screened for department head. If you have not yet screened, you will either remain on your 2nd tour through your 3rd look, or if you are out of looks and have 6 years or less of commissioned service, you'll proceed to a probationary officer continuation and redesignation, or POCR board. If this is the case, your detailer will reach out to you with amplifying information. Please refer to the SWO manual for more information on the POCR process. Similar to sea slating, before entering your slating window, your detailer will send out a slate engagement email. This will include a PDF outlining your different shore options, an Excel preference sheet, and a DHRB request example. Please review the PDF first. It provides directions for your preference submissions, includes amplifying information on the billet options, and lists all the important due dates for your slate. Your CO will also receive an email from the JO Shore Coordinator that includes a CO input form and the shore billet options PDF. They'll be asked about your aptitude for specific billets, and their input will be used in the slating process. In your slating email, you will be asked to provide your top 20 shore preferences. It is important you submit all 20 preferences. If you only include 5 preferences, we have to assume that all other slate options are tied for 6th, since detailers can only slate officers off of the preferences they have in front of them when it comes time to slate. Within your top 20 preferences, you must include 2 Desron, Fibron, or MCMron billets and 1 additional sea duty billet. Failing to list 2 staff billets in a preference in your top 20 does not impact your chances from slating to a staff or sea duty billet. It only prohibits you from having the opportunity to provide input on which one of those billets you would prefer. Each slate will have a certain amount of prioritized staff and sea billets that will have to be filled. Please don't miss out on the opportunity to have a say over your preferences by trying to game the system and leaving them off altogether. SWO nuclear officers slate to shore duty with conventional SWOs. Regardless of whether or not a nuclear officer has taken or passed their nuclear engineer officer's exam, all nuclear SWOs must submit at least 1 nuclear billet as one of their 20 preferences. All nuclear billets are nominative, and officers will be approved by Naval Reactor prior to receiving orders. Please contact your nuclear detailer with any questions. In addition to ranking your top 20 preferences, please include if you intend to or have already signed DHRB and what is most important to you in your write-up. By providing amplifying context to the why behind your preferences, your detailer will be best equipped to represent you at the slate. If you have signed DHRB, you will be considered an executive slater, meaning after all officers on the slate have been ranked, you will move above all non-signers on the slate. If you have not signed DHRB and you list a DHRB required billet in your top 6, you are implying that you are willing to sign DHRB within 14 days if you are slated to that billet. If you list a DHRB required billet at number 7 or later on your list and are slated to that billet, you will not be required to sign DHRB. We reward officers who commit to the community earlier. You'd see the same practice in the civilian world of offering increased opportunities for advanced education and exciting experiences to performers willing to commit to their organization. The average Divo shore slate consists of 75 officers. You can see from this example billet list, there are a lot more than 75 billets available based on this slate timing. On average, 1/3 of the billets on each slate list get filled. The billets are prioritized by the JO Shore Coordinator, so detailers know which billets absolutely need to be filled prior to sitting down to conduct the slate. Afloat staffs must be filled at 100%, and on average, about 1/3 of post-Divo slated officers go to a Sea Duty coded billet. Sea Duty coded billets include EAP, 7th Fleet, 6th Fleet, and several CTFs in Rota and Naples. We understand what we're asking of officers and their families when they slate to a Sea Duty coded billet. When those officers slate for their next JO shore tour, they will go through a post-slate process and will give them the closest command, billet, and location to their preference. A JO shore post-slater is a non-DHRB signer that has already gone through the sea to shore slating process who's up to slate for their next shore tour. The list of shore billets available on each shore slate email vary significantly from slate to slate. The last 2 slate billet lists are posted on the PERS 412 My Navy HR webpage. Those billet lists align to the timing of those slates, so please don't reach out to ask about the availability of one of those billets ahead of receiving your slate list. They're posted to give you an idea of the variety of shore duty options. The list will show the command, location, and billet as they appear in OACE, which is our order writing system. There will also be assignment notes that annotate if the billet is DHRB required, SWO nuke required, top secret required, or WITI AQD required. Separately from the shore slate, we also billet officers to shore billets or programs via the Talent Management Board. Each year, the Talent Management announcement is released in May, the board convenes in August, and the results are released in September. If your slate timing occurs ahead of the Talent Management Board, but you intend to submit a talent management package, you will have to defer your slate. You'll have 7 to 10 days from talent management results notification to accept or deny the opportunity. If you accept, you'll be assigned to that billet or program. If you deny the opportunity, you'll slate on the next scheduled shore slate. Reminder, post-divos already on shore duty and post-department heads who execute the early department head class timeline may be eligible for talent management. Please reach out to your detailer to discuss timing and programs you're interested in. Please check out the Talent Management Board video on the PERS 41 YouTube page for more information. We've talked through shore slate timing, shore billet options, and talent management. Let's move on to the shore slating process. The process begins with the JO detailers generating the list of scheduled slaters based on each of their officers' PRDs and department head screening status. Once a list has been created, officers will be ranked utilizing the following equation. Trait average divided by the reporting senior's cumulative average from the officer's best ranking division officer fit rep times 2 plus 1 quality point apiece for EOW and TAO and a half quality point for FD&F PC or MCM experience. Those quality points then get divided by 4. That equals the officer's slate number. After each slating calculation has been ran, those officers who have already signed DHRB get shifted up the rank list over the non-signing officers on the slate. Let's walk through this example officer's PSR. The first step is to find the most advantageous Divo fit rep. Advantageous means the largest positive delta between the trait average and RISCA. The detailer will start with the most recent fit rep and work backwards. On this officer's most recent fit rep, they had a 4.86 trait average compared to the reporting senior's cumulative average of 3.96. That's a 0.9 positive delta. Reviewing the historical Divo fit reps, that's the most substantial positive delta, so that's the fit rep we'll use for this calculation. That 4.86 trait average divided by the 3.96 RISCA times 2 is 2.45. This officer had completed their EL qualification prior to slating, so 1 quality point would get divided by 4. That equals 0.25, which would get added to the initial 2.45 for a total slate number of 2.70. They submitted their DHRB paperwork with their slate, so after all the other slate numbers had been ran for the slating officers, this officer would get moved above the non-DHRB signers who had the same or a higher slate number than them on the slate. On average, 50% of officers, including nuclear officers, on each slate have their EO, and 10% have their TAO qualification. The weapons control officer qualification earned on PCs and MCMs does not count on the JO shore slate as a TAO quality point. The average fit rep trait average used for calculation on the December 2021 shore slate was 0.19 above RISCA. The standard deviation for the slate was 0.25. The average fit rep trait average used for calculation on the March 2022 shore slate was 0.24 above RISCA. The standard deviation for the slate was 0.23. After the billets have been prioritized and the slate rankings are complete, the JO detailers and the JO shore coordinator will sit down and conduct the slate. The shore coordinator begins by discussing expectations and highlighting priority fill billets. Everyone will then reference the Slate rankings and begin with the top-ranked officer on the list. The shore coordinator and that officer's detailer will review the officer's preferences, billet timing, and availability. Their CO's inputs and the group will compare the information to the prioritized billet list. Once the slating discussion for that officer concludes and they've been tentatively assigned to the billet that best matches all of those considerations, the detailers will move on to the next officer on the slate. Once the slate has been completed, the JO shore coordinator will route the results to the PERS 412 branch head. Both of them will then sit down with the PERS 41 director for final approval. The time between preferences being due and slate results being released is 2 to 3 weeks. Let's talk through some best practices. Please read the entirety of the Slate PDF prior to completing your preference sheet and prior to reaching out to your detailer with slating questions. Slating times are busy for detailers and multiple preference submissions cause confusion. We build the slate emails based on historical questions and feedback we've received. Please take advantage of that information. Please submit your inputs prior to the due date in the slating email. Adding last-minute information slows down the slating process for all of the officers on the slate. You've seen the slating calculation. Fit reps and advanced qualifications are the primary factors that drive your slate number up or down. Several billets also have advanced qualification requirements annotated in the notes section next to the billet. Ensure that if you earned your EAO, TAO, or any applicable billet qualifications, that those AQDs are reflected in your OSR. If they're not, ensure you've emailed your qualification designation letters to your detailer ahead of slating so they're accounted for in both the calculation and slating discussion. Verify your fit reps are all reflected in your Performance Summary Report, or PSR. RISCA is not on the fit rep hard copy, only the summary group averages. RISCA only appears in your PSR 90 days after a fit rep closes out. Please log into BOL 2 to 3 months after receiving a new fit rep to ensure it's been correctly processed into your PSR by PERS 32. If you are considering a lateral transfer, please talk with your detailer ahead of slating. In order to be eligible for a lateral transfer board, you must not be under an obligation to your current community. That obligation includes having submitted your preferences for a slate. Until an officer is within 12 months of the end of a community contract, such as DHRB, or within 12 months of their PRD for the tour they've slated to, they will not be considered by a different community for lateral transfer. Once you submit your preferences, you are committed to executing the billet you're assigned at that slate. If you complete a Navy-funded education program, understand those come with additional service obligations. The reference for graduate education service obligations is OpNav Instruction 1520.23. For those DHRB signers, that obligation is served concurrently with your DHRB time. For example, say you get selected for an 18-month full-time graduate program at MPS. Because that program is full-time and greater than 12 months, it comes with a service obligation of 3 times the number of months of the program, which would be 54 months. That 54 months would begin upon graduation from the program, but would be served while simultaneously satisfying your DHRB requirement. All the funded programs with additional service obligations are listed in this instruction, and Closure 7 is a straightforward breakdown for each of them. Let's talk through special circumstances. Co-location, overseas accompanied tours, and nominative billets. Please notify your detailer if you are planning on marrying or have recently married another military member. Any assignment preventing co-location must be approved by the Assistant Commander of Navy Personnel Command. PERS 41 will do everything possible to ensure co-location is met. We do not recommend you waive co-location. If you are seeking to be stationed in a different geographical area than your military spouse, both of you will be required to formally waive your co-location via NAV PERS Form 1301. MilPERS-Man 1300-302 Change 29 governs overseas accompanied tours. It states members with more than 3 family members will not normally be assigned to accompany overseas duty, including Alaska and Hawaii, unless a waiver is approved by the regional commander of the gaining command. Based on that required approval process, if you have more than 3 dependents and desire an accompanied overseas assignment, you should be prepared to be deferred to the next scheduled shore slate. Officer prescribed tour length is governed by MilPERS-Man 1301-110. CONUS Sea Duty orders are written for 24 months, with exception of FIBRON, DESRON, MCMRON orders, which are written for 18 months. PERS 412 maintains a running list of nominative billets. SWO-JOs select for nominative assignments at an excellent rate. Regardless of when you slate, if you're interested in a nominative billet, please contact your detailer. They'll share the current list with you and discuss your options. Keep in mind, once you submit a nominative package, you cannot withdraw yourself from the selection process and should expect to remain at your current command until the process is complete. In summary, we've discussed the following topics: shore slate timing, shore billet options, talent management, to Divo to shore slating process, best practices, and special circumstances. If you have any questions, please email me at go_swo@navy.mil or reach out to your detailer. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a wonderful day.